Most people don't know this, but in 2020, I had a gag order placed on me by the McCarthy administration forbidding me to talk about anything to do with the ethics complaint brought against me. I asked many times to have a public hearing and to have everything disclosed publicly. I believe that the public had a right to know what was going on because I am a public official and I had nothing to hide. But I was told by the former county executive's attorney that I was not permitted to have an open hearing and that if I talked about it, they could file an ethics complaint against me for talking. Well, I no longer have that gag order, so I want to tell the public exactly what happened and why. I also want to tell the public some things that didn't happen to illustrate the blatant bias of the former Ethics Commission. I first took office in December 2016 and began substitute teaching to supplement my income as a council person. I do have a master's degree in education and over 20 years of experience in the education field, so it was a natural fit and it enabled me to keep up with my council duties, which often include daytime meetings, and support my family. I've always disclosed my substitute teaching on my ethics disclosure forms that are provided to the Ethics Commission. And I've always been very public and transparent about it. A teacher I subbed for even thanked me at our first public budget hearing. The administration, or I should say the former administration, the former county executive's attorney, and all of council knew I was substitute teaching, and for the first 2 years, it was not an issue. During that time, Joyce Bowlesby served as council president. In 2019, I filed to run for re-election, and things quickly changed. The first inkling that I had that this was going to be an issue that would be used against me in the campaign was when I was informed that there was a whisper campaign going on attempting to smear my reputation because I was a substitute teacher. I knew it was politically motivated, as the people associated with the whisper campaign were from the McCarthy administration, and they were determined to make sure I didn't get reelected because I voted against his increases in spending and also his tax increases. In response, I began doing some research on the issue. I was provided with the Attorney General of Maryland's opinion on this issue by a full-time teacher in Carroll County, where their ethics code was word for word the same as ours. The Attorney General's opinion explicitly stated that there was no conflict of interest in being a teacher and serving in a local legislative body. I also thought back on previous Cecil County commissioners who had also been teachers and firefighters, and they had no issue under our current code. So rather than hide away, I made a public statement at a November 2019 council meeting. Again, just reiterating my public disclosure at the onset, and I also explained the Attorney General's opinion. I also went back to closely examine Section 39 of our Ethics Code. The Cecil County Ethics Code defines a conflict of interest as an actual or potential financial benefit as distinguished from the general interest of the county or public relating to or resulting from an official's or employee's public duties and his or her personal, family, employer, business, or investment interests that he or she would reasonably be expected to know, or using one's position for the private gain of oneself or another. In other words, to be defined as a conflict of interest, my position as a council person would have to provide a personal benefit, financial or otherwise, that is not something available to the general public. Substitute teaching is available to the general public. The criteria for employment as a substitute is passing a background check, and pay level is based on whether one has a college degree or not. I earn the same amount as every other substitute with a degree, and job availability is automated. As a job becomes available, it's posted online, and an automated call goes out to all substitute teachers at the same time, and the first one to accept the job gets the job. So under the definition of conflict of interest in our code, there is no application to the job of substitute teacher. Every dollar I received as a substitute, I earned just like every other substitute teacher. Well, you might reasonably ask about the budget vote for the school district and what impact I as a council person has on substitute pay or other matters related to the school budget. Well, unlike other budget items we consider, the school budget has no line items, meaning council has no say in how school money is spent. The school board is the sole authority in those decisions. In other county departments, council can choose to strike line items. The school budget, we can't. So there's no control of council over the school budget, and I would certainly have no say in anything having to do with teacher salaries, much less substitute teacher salaries. Well, shortly after my statement at that meeting, that November meeting, Alan McCarthy personally delivered a letter to Bob Meffley, who was our council president, from himself telling Council President Meffley that he needed to take action against me. The former county executive's attorney also sent a letter to our council attorney. They spoke, and he also spoke with other people at that time. I was informed that the county executive's attorney, the former county executive's attorney, did not believe that it was correct or right to pursue me, but that his hand was being forced if he wanted to keep his job. Then, at our Mako Winter Conference in early December 2019, Council President Meffley told me that Alan McCarthy would not leave him alone about it and was pressuring him to take action against me. On December 11th, our former council president, Joyce Bowlesby, who served with me for 2 years, published a letter in the Cecil Whig calling me unethical for substitute teaching. She used my public statements at the November meeting, the November 2019 meeting, as an excuse for her letter, even though she and the administration both knew about my subbing for the full 2 years while she was on council with me, and it had been public then. Then, at around Christmas, I received a letter notifying me that someone affiliated with Miss Bowlesby filed a complaint against me. The Ethics Commission at that time told me that I had to quit teaching or quit council. I got my own lawyer and decided to contest it. I knew that the goal was not really to keep me from teaching. It was to be able to publicize a trumped-up ethics violation to use against me during the election. Note, there is no precedent in the state for telling someone that they must quit their job or quit their elected position. That, according to legal opinion, is actually a violation of state law and the state constitution. What the Ethics Commission actually has the authority to do and has done at state and local governments throughout time in Maryland is to place parameters or restrictions on voting. So if a piece of legislation came up relating to substitute teachers, they could tell me that I should recuse myself from that vote, and that would be a reasonable restriction. They don't have the authority to tell me I have to quit. In January 2020, I sent all the evidence I had to the Ethics Commission requesting a dismissal. They ignored it and continued to pursue me. So I continued to do research and found precedent regarding teachers currently serving in Frederick, Arundel, and Carroll counties. 2 of those jurisdictions are charter counties like ours, one with our same charter, and one is a commissioner county. 2 of the counties had a code that was word for word what our ethics code says in Section 39. I also interestingly, I had a conversation with a county executive in one of those counties who said she actually plans a lot of her events and meetings around the teaching schedule of one of her county council members who's a public school teacher in the district. During this time, I also found more evidence that showed the political motivation behind this. The administration actually had contracts with business owners owned or managed by council members. That was also common knowledge on council. When an issue was raised early on regarding one county council member's county contracts, that council member said that if being on council was going to hurt his business, he would just quit. The former county executive's attorney told him that wasn't necessary, they would figure something out. I later found out that the Ethics Commission issued an opinion granting him an exception so he could continue doing business with the county. Our budgets under the previous administration even had line items dedicated to businesses owned or managed by council members. I point this out to be very clear, not in any way to cast shade on my colleagues on council, but to illustrate the explicit bias when it came to the former administration and their use of the Ethics Commission to carry out that bias for political gain. That's what this was about. Another council person's business that contracts with the county and with the school district was also given a pass. When complaints were brought up regarding McCarthy's business and real estate holdings that were impacted by county policy he was initiating, the commission dismissed all of those issues outright and did not even investigate them. Then the names of the people who had brought complaints were given by the former Ethics Commission to McCarthy, even though they had decided not to pursue those issues. So the problem with the last commission was not just what they pursued, it was also what they chose to ignore. The only person the commission vehemently pursued was me, a substitute teacher. It makes you wonder, what's the difference between me and those members of council? Is it my gender? Is it that I did not support the tax increases and spending of the former county executive? Or is it because I didn't endorse McCarthy? And are any of those reasons to go after me? As we got closer to my hearing, I found through a document that the previous county executive's attorney submitted to the court that he was actually planning on using the ethics decision to limit my ability to discuss and vote on last year's budget. It was at that point I decided just to quit subbing and submitted my letter of resignation to Cecil County Public Schools. I could not allow them to keep me from doing what the voters elected me to do. After I resigned, the deputy county attorney that worked under the former county executive's attorney advised me that the case was closed and it was over. She had been instructed to try and resolve this. However, when the former county executive's attorney was told this, he said it was not over and they were still going to pursue the charges against me. Legally, at that point, they really didn't have any standing to continue to pursue me, as it had been resolved by my resignation, but that didn't matter. He told me that the only way that it would end is if I signed a statement admitting guilt, which I refused. At my hearing, there was absolutely no evidence presented illustrating any votes that I participated in or could have participated in, which could have presented a benefit to me or any sort of ethical challenge. After my hearing, the commission issued an opinion after they consulted with the former county executive's attorney that said, while there was no actual conflict of interest, there was an appearance of one. This is a vague statement that really could be used against anyone. One of the former Ethics Commission members later told me that he felt bad about what happened, but that the commission was just doing what the former county executive's attorney advised them to do. The previous Ethics Commission ignored all common sense, the definitions of our code, all legal precedent, and the Attorney General's opinion to fulfill a political vendetta of Alan McCarthy in an attempt to influence an election. It dismissed complaints brought against others or wrote exceptions in their favor while unfairly pursuing me. The Ethics Commission is one commission that must act completely apart from politics in order to keep the public trust, and they failed to do that. Our new county executive was elected to bring fiscal responsibility to the government and to drain the swamp. She's doing what she was elected to do, as is her duty. No one should be satisfied with keeping a commission who behaved ineptly at the very least and was used politically at its worst. In the process of what she did, she followed the charter explicitly. If anyone tells you differently, ask them to cite which part she did not follow. They can't. The council president was told immediately when the commission was dismissed 5 days prior to our meeting when the new appointees were introduced for consideration by council. We were scheduled to vote on the appointees a few weeks later. No council member at that time contacted the administration with any concerns until some of them publicly berated the county executive at our work session. How unprofessional. Our last county executive never received that kind of treatment at our meetings. Council continued treating the new nominees to the commission unprofessionally as well. This is also unprecedented. I was not the only one who had county resources used against me for political purposes. The previous county executive's attorney had a citizen blocked for nearly a month from the county email system over a political disagreement. That means that the citizen was unable to send emails to council members, the administration, or any county departments while he was blocked. This is highly unethical, and the previous county executive's attorney should have known better. Right is right, wrong is wrong. The current county executive followed the process that was put in place by those who wrote the charter, some of whom supported the political weaponization of the commission against me, while they turned a blind eye to actual conflicts of interest in the former administration. While we can certainly change our process to create a commission that is removed from politics as possible, doing so must be done through a charter amendment, which cannot happen until another election. In the meantime, the current county executive did what was right and necessary. There are many others, particularly citizens, who could shed some light on what happened during the last administration. I've simply recounted what I experienced and saw firsthand, and I hope that this was helpful in demonstrating why changes needed to be made by the new administration. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or comments. I've also included links to legal documents relating to my case below for those who may be interested in finding out more.